Hey, what's happening, Hoop fam? Fran Harris here with another scintillating video taking a look at the top 25. But instead of looking at the full top 25, I want to do something a little bit different, get a little bit creative today. And I'm going to talk about the Undefeatables, the 5 teams in the top 25 that have not lost a game. Hence, why I call them the Undefeatables. So we're going to take a quick look at South Carolina, UCLA, NC State, Texas Longhorns, and the Baylor Bears. Y'all ready? Let's go. Hey, but before I jump in, if you like the kind of content that I'm providing you guys, please like, share, turn on notifications so that you can be notified as soon as I drop the next video. Like, share, comment. It's all welcome. Let's jump into it. All right, let's jump into it. The number 1 team in the country right now remains none other than the South Carolina Gamecocks, sitting there at 7-0. No surprise to anyone. South Carolina is playing really good basketball. A lot of people have described how South Carolina is playing as playoff basketball in the first quarter of the NCAA season. And I would have to agree with that. They look like they are clicking on all cylinders. And here's what I love about South Carolina. There are so many players who have waited their turn. Yes, everybody is going to lose people to the portal. People are going to leave. People are going to get hurt. But what I didn't realize until maybe a couple of weeks ago was that at South Carolina, there have been people who have been waiting patiently in the wings for their opportunity to play. And we're seeing some of those players come up big. We're talking about Breezy. Y'all know who we're talking about. If you don't know who I'm referring to, then you're not following South Carolina basketball hard enough. Listen, these players have been in the wings waiting for their opportunity to show what they can do. And of course, their teammates have seen them play in practice. Their teammates have seen them on the squad, the scrimmage squad. But now the world is getting a chance to see the folks who have been behind Asia Wilson, if you will, behind some of the point guards that have been at South Carolina. And now it is their turn. And we're seeing those players really step into it. I really got a chance to see this full effect when a couple of South Carolina freshmen didn't play. And I was like, well, who's going to play? And I'm looking like the entire game was played by these players. Candidly, I didn't know very well, right? I was like, oh, yeah, I remember her. Oh, yeah, I remember her. These are big time players showing what happens when you mature, when you are a baller, when you understand championship DNA. It's unbelievable what I'm seeing in South Carolina right now. So yes, South Carolina sitting there at number 1, deservedly so. Even though nobody has played a really strong schedule, let's keep it real. South Carolina has literally beaten almost everybody the same way, with the exception of the North Carolina game, which I watched in totality. And that was a great game that came down to the end. But for the most part, players are doing what they always do, whether it's game time, playoff situation or not. We're seeing that. And we're seeing South Carolina start to matriculate through the first part of the season and now getting into ACC competition. And they are still playing extremely, extremely well. So South Carolina, no question about it, sitting at the top. And they're our first undefeatable. Our next undefeatable is UCLA, right? Sitting out west. Coach Corey Close getting her players ready for a run in what will be the final, we've heard, the final the final Pac-12 run out there. UCLA is doing their thing. Always an open court game, always high octane defense, always high octane offense, always loving to get out in the break. And one of the big pieces of controversy, if you can call it controversy, with UCLA was the fact that Lauren Betts transferred from Stanford to the other part of California, over to Los Angeles, over to Hollywood to play with the UCLA Bruins. What UCLA is doing right now it's giving playoff implications. It's giving that they could make it deep into the playoffs come March. Now, obviously, everybody's got to be healthy. Obviously, everybody's got to play well at the right time. But UCLA is giving me shades of South Carolina, meaning that they are playing inspired, mature basketball. And those teams are always, always dangerous. All right. The next undefeatable, NC State. Got to tell you, one of my favorite teams. Has been one of my favorite teams since Wes, the coach, got there. This is a great man, first of all, with huge respect from his players and alumni. Second, he is a tremendous, tremendous coach. There are some coaches that I would put on the Mount Rushmore of offense, and Wes Moore is definitely one of those coaches. Literally love what Wes Moore has always done on offense. And here's the other thing. The Wolfpack always play hard. They always come out of the gates competing, regardless of how talented people perceive them to be. This is one of the best offensive teams in the country, and they are still undefeatable. Our next undefeatable team is none other than the Texas Longhorns. Okay, you already know, if you've listened to my videos, that's my alma mater. But I think that's exactly where they belong. They're number 5 in the top 25. They haven't played a tremendous schedule, but they've beaten people the same way. That's what I say about teams that are really good right now. The big indicator of how good they are is that it doesn't matter who they're playing, they're beating them the same way. Yes, you're going to have some close games. Yes, you're going to have some close games with some of the more competitive teams, the better teams. But for the most part, the complexion of your team should not look different based on who you're playing. And what we're seeing right now with Texas is that Rory Harmon is stepping into her own. She's stepping into that All-American moniker that Texas is touting her as, and she's bringing some of her teammates along with her. Don't forget, now Texas was without, before last night, Texas was without Deanna Gaston, who is their 6'3", very athletic, super smart, shot blocking, running the floor post player who's been out with an injury of some sort. She played last night. I was there for that game. She looked good from a shot blocking standpoint, and so Texas will be glad to get her back. Don't forget, Aaliyah Moore, who was on tap to be Texas's next All-American along with Rory Harmon. Post player, tore her ACL last season. She's back. Now, she's not back, meaning she's not playing like Amo from last year, but she's getting minutes here and there, still nifty around the baskets, and is starting to play like her old self. So, you know, when you're coming back from any major injury, that's always touch and go. And so nobody's promising what Amo is going to be for the University of Texas, but to have her around, that's double figures in points and almost double figures in rebounds last season. To have her around is going to certainly improve Texas's chances of getting deep in the playoffs. And then last but not least, number 25 in the top 25 poll this week are the Baylor Bears, coached by Nikki Collins. Folks were wondering what Baylor would be like with Kim Mulkey not at the helm. And we're seeing that Coach Nikki Collins is doing her thing. Sarah Andrews is in the house.
Baylor comes in with a record of 6-0. They've scored 80 points in all 6 games. They already have a win over a top 20 team. They beat Utah earlier.
We know that Baylor's MO has always been to give you the 1-2 punch with dynamic guards in the past, like Morris or Odyssey Sims, and now Sarah Andrews and Asia Blackwell. And they continue to launch an assault from the 3-point line in Waco, Texas. But Baylor's also been about that big post player. And so if Baylor can start to cultivate some of that 1-2 punch that we have been accustomed to from the Baylor Bears, they are going to be tough come February and March. And so there you have it, our 5 undefeatables in the top 20 of women's basketball right now. South Carolina, UCLA, NC State, Texas, and Baylor. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next one.